Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the State Building Code Council Mechanical Ventilation, Plumbing, and Energy Code Committee meeting for Friday, January 16th, 2026. Okay, first of all, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Tom Young,
Here.
Todd Byerther,
Here.
Shell Anderson,
Morning, everybody.
Ben O'Mara,
Here.
Justin Borgo,
Go Hawks.
Yay. Pete Reekie,
Pete won't be joining us today.
and Katie Sheehan. I don't see her, but we do have a quorum.
Okay. Then is there anyone in the public that would like to be recognized for this meeting?
Tom, in light of what happened yesterday at the legislative committee meeting, this one's being run as a webinar. And so as we're looking for hands to be raised, in the participants list, there'll be two columns for you to see. We've got the attendees one, which is where everybody who needs permissions to talk will raise their hand, just so you know there's another place to look for hands. Staff will monitor that for you as well. But we have Patrick Hanks and Tim Atterbury with their hands up.
Okay, thank you, Dustin.
So I guess Patrick, go ahead.
Yes, this is Patrick Hanks with the Building Industry Association of Washington. Hopefully today's meeting has less disruptions.
Tim Atterbury, Associated General Contractors of Washington.
Okay, I don't see any other hands, so
Or I got Sarah, go ahead.
all right.
Good morning. Sarah Newman with the Responsible Energy Codes Alliance. Thanks.
I have an Elizabeth Torsky.
Elizabeth Torsky with Cascade Natural Gas. Thank you.
Now I have no more.
Dustin, does that look like all the, yes? Okay, great. Okay, is there a motion to review and approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second. I did want to comment on the agenda, however.
Yeah, I have some discussion on the agenda as well. So we had some file management mishap right at the 11th hour yesterday, and our IMC preliminary cost benefit analysis is the one that's complete is not available for us this morning. It's almost repaired, but we're not there yet. And we do have the UPC preliminary cost benefit analysis. We had a similar issue with this one, but we got this one back across the finish line before this meeting today, but it didn't get uploaded until early this morning. And so I had intended for this committee to have some time to review this and push it to the council with a motion. But I would like to change the action I'm asking from the committee to just kind of take this as an introduction of this preliminary cost benefit analysis for the UPC, and hold off movement to the council on this until our subsequent MVPE meeting. So there's more time to review this one, and we'll get this posted online in the 2024 code update page. And I'd also like to bring this agenda item before the WABO opinion that we have here as well. We have a need of the staffer who has drafted this. I'd like them to help present this one, but they have a need to be out of this meeting before it concludes. And so I want to bring that one and have them available as much as possible. And so I have some modifications made shown here with some strikeout and some movement. And so I'd like to offer that we run with this layout for our meeting today.
I will revise my motion to include the modifications suggested by Dustin.
And yeah, second that, Dustin, that was going to be my comment. Like I didn't see the IMC info in there for the meeting. So that was going to be my comment. So accepted.
We were trying to bring it back this morning, but it's just not quite there. We're right there. And so hereby, probably first thing next week, we'll have that one online with the other one as well. And we're asking for folks to review these and come with comments at our next committee meeting. All right, so I
So-
guess we're in
So
order
is the
for,
current motion, to approve this revised agenda that you have on the screen, which is to move the UPC preliminary cost benefit analysis up before the opinion request from Wabo?
correct.
Yes, okay. So
IMC.
yeah, and deletion of the IMC, correct? Yes, thank you. So I guess that's the current motion, and I guess we have a second on that.
Correct.
So,
Second.
okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, the modified agenda has been approved. Okay, then is there a motion on the approval of minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or discussion? None? So all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
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 All, who disapprove, please say nay. Hearing none, the minutes have been approved as presented. Okay, so moving on to our first order of business in the modified agenda, it's the presentation of the UPC preliminary cost benefit analysis.
Brandon, I'd like to let you share screen and I'll let you get that set up while I intro this one. So some notes on this one. Staff has been working hard to get these done and they're taking some time to get there. First thing on this one, these preliminary cost benefit analysis are based on the information contained in the proposals. And I just want to get that point out there. We recognize that there is movement on the proposals and there might be some changes as a result of that, but we don't have the information to write that information into these. So this is a preliminary. We're expecting public comment and this information will be updated as part of the final cost benefit analysis. So first, that was the first point I wanted to make sure everybody's aware of. These are based on the proposals received. And then the next part that I want to cover on this one is that the preliminary cost benefit analysis that we have prepared here today, while it's a single document, it is drafted in a format to cover the requirements of the small business economic impact statement as well. So that is all embedded in here. We don't have a separate small business economic impact statement for this report. And then, like I mentioned earlier, as we were talking about the agenda, because this didn't get uploaded here till first thing this morning, I don't think it's appropriate to take action to move this to the council. And I forgot to update the agenda that there should be action on these items for this one as well. It was on the lines that we moved them around. But this is intended at this point to be an introduction of the format of our preliminary cost benefit analysis and to give folks an opportunity to review. As we get through this one here today, it's my intent to have Brandon give you an overview of the formatting and the structure of the document and what types of information you can expect to see in there and maybe answer some generalized questions. We're not looking to make modifications to this one today, but I am definitely interested to hear input on its content. And, this is going to be the barometer for the other reports that are coming out. And so if there's modifications that need to be made to this based on the comments we received, I would be happy to incorporate those into the other reports that we're still working on. And with that, I'll turn it over to Brandon, who's the draft person on this one. He's got a lot of time in this one and put in a really huge effort when we discovered that our file got misplaced yesterday. So he's got this one back across the finish line for us for today. And so Brandon, appreciate the work you got done on this one. And I will turn over to you to kind of lead us through what you got on screen.
Hey, thank you, Dustin. So as long as everybody can hear me, this document is our UPC Master Economic Impact and as well as the cost benefit analysis. Sorry, I'm having a moment. I can't say the word. Let me just move right along. The executive summary goes over what the document is. It's for the 2024 Uniform Plumbing Code amendments for Washington State Building Code Council. All 13 proposals demonstrate positive or neutral economic impact with sustainable, substantial public health and safety benefits. No proposal creates a disruptive burden on small business per the proposals that were submitted. Then we have an overview of the document, going over what it covers, as well as key findings. Once again, it kind of mirrors what the executive summary states. And then we put in a table of all the NAICS codes and industries that would be affected by these different proposals. And we put the codes there on the left, so that way it's easy for everybody to understand who's being affected by this, these proposals. And then we went ahead and did an overall construction cost impact, 10 proposals, 0 impact, 2 proposals, minimal impact, 50 to 800 per project, 1 proposal, 200 to 5,000. And then we have a little bit more information of the overall economic benefit based off the proposals. And then go down a little bit further, the small business impact summary. And then this is the first proposal that was worked on. This is 24 GP2-001. This was submitted by Dave Price. And this was for general storm drainage. As you can see in the layout, we first summarize the current baseline without the proposal. Then we go into what the changes are, and we give the rationale statement. That's section 1 of description and rationale. Then we go into the economic cost analysis. For this particular proposal, there was no cost, no change in construction cost. The estimates per unit were 0, and total potential range typically for this project would be 0. You would see a little bit of a change in man hours for plan reviewers. So they would have maybe 15 minutes to a half hour more work with this change, just reviewing the new code. And so that's reflected there. The benefit analysis, research showed that 50 to 8 design time cost would be 50 to 150. Eliminating secondary calculations saves, once again, between 0.1 and 0.3 hours. That's just an estimate based on how long it would take to design a project. And from there, we go to operational benefits and other benefits. As you can see there, this one, enhanced design efficiency and reduced calculation errors, improved code clarity for Washington specific conditions, and then the other benefits, reducing design errors. For section 4, we see the small business economic impact, small business categories expected, civil engineering, and then the NAICS code there. I do see that, and I'll take a note there, that the plumbing design consultants, that NAIC code is not there, which I can make sure and add when I upload this document after this meeting. And from there, we go down to the compliance burden comparison. Research reveals engineering firms spend disproportionately more time on code calculations due to limited staff resource. That was found from either the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and then we also added a reference down at the bottom of this proposal with where you can find that information. Number 5 is the least burdensome alternative, and this just explains, is there an alternative method of doing this, and is this something we should mitigate to do? And then finally, number 6 is the conclusion and recommendations for the potential benefits or burdens. And then it just goes over a summary of this proposal and why it is either going to be a positive effect for the state of Washington or neutral or negative.
And Brandon, that layout for that proposal that you just shared with us, and thank you for that, is representative of the format for all proposals across this report, correct?
Yes, and it also matches the documents we've uploaded in the past, spreadsheets with the different proposals and where they're at.
I guess we'd pause here for any questions or comments from the committee. Ben?
Yeah, just first off, like Brandon, I think like what you and staff are putting together is very thorough, and I think it's really appreciated that you're able to provide this much review and insight onto the proposals. Just to clarify, these are all the proposals that were recommended by the TAG to be moved and voted to be moved into CR 102.
Correct.
Yes.
And then I guess one of the comments I would have is just being able to identify which proposals kind of fit into those top level construction impact or economic benefit buckets.
The ones like the executive summary that said, we have these proposals that have this impact, the tiers kind of.
Yeah, something like that, where maybe a little bit easier to find those, and just something in each proposal review that had like kind of aligning with what's in the proposal form potentially, just like those check boxes. Something like that might be a little bit helpful to navigate, but otherwise, like I really appreciate the detail and thoroughness. So thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay, any other comments? So Dustin, there's no action on this preliminary cost benefit analysis today.
I'm not seeking specific action, mainly because we didn't have the time for anybody to review this before this meeting today. I don't want to necessarily forward it onto the council, but I would be open to that if the committee decided they wanted to forward this to the council and maybe take care of some of this business as part of a segmented approach to where we're at with the codes right now.
Okay, so what's the next steps that we're looking?
So for this one, Brandon, there's some stuff at the end of the report that is, I would like you to kind of get over to cover a little bit. We could cover any specific proposal if anybody wanted to raise that, but I kind of wanted to just get a quick overview on what we're doing here and make sure that everybody's aware of the content of this one. And to let everybody know that this is the format that we're bringing all of our preliminary cost benefit analyses in, and demonstrating this is the information that's contained here is above and beyond what was in the proposal document. So while they are based on the proposals, Brandon has done a lot of research on his own to bring in some of the small business impact considerations and some of those cost factors that are in there. A lot of our proposals don't come in with that information, and so he's done a lot of digging to pull the information into this report. And then Brandon, as you get down to the end, this is kind of a summary, and we have an appendix on here at the end, and I'll just let you go ahead and run over that one for us real quick.
Not seeing it on this one.
Oh, well, can you give us, there's supposed to be an appendix at the bottom of this one. It might have been, as we mentioned before, we had some document handling issue for ourselves. Brandon, could you just kind of run over from memory what that appendix is supposed to contain?
The appendix.
It was kind of this is, here's from my memory, and I'm since Brandon was the drafts person on this, I was hoping that we would get this one on there as well. But it was really this parts of this component shows what points to the components of this report and to the compliance requirements that we are trying to meet here. So specific components of the report that are applicable to the APA, specific components of the reports that are applicable to the RFA, and why, how we're justifying why this is put together this way, and showing how we're in compliance with the requirements for filing here. And it was really just a overview of the kind of content of each proposal in here, and pointing to what, why we included that, and just the reasons for compliance with those acts. And then we do have a hand from the public open or up, sorry, and I think it would be appropriate to take public comment if we're
okay. It looks like Patrick Hanks.
Yes, thank you. First off, I want to applaud the work of Brandon on this, and thank Dustin for listening to industry concerns over past reports and being really adamant about improving the SBCC's process this cycle. This is a massive improvement, so I just want to take time to recognize that and really express gratitude for that, and applaud the work that Brandon did. There are a couple things I haven't had time to really dive deep and review everything in it. I'm not sure if some of this was lost in your document recovery. My condolences for that. That always really sucks whenever a document gets corrupted and you have to try to fix that. But I think adding page numbers would really help navigating the document, since it's quite large. And then a few things I just want to point out, since this is trying to meet the RFA, that I didn't see, and maybe it's in there and I just didn't find it. But the RFA requires that you have a description of how the agency will involve small businesses in the development of the rule. And I think in past, you said, you had the tag process, you had open public meetings, you had this time you had that sort of listening session from affected businesses on costs. And then you'll have public comment as well, and you can list out other things where you're trying to involve small business in the development of the rule. And then the RFA requires an estimate of the number of jobs that will be created or lost as a result of compliance with the proposed rule, and a statement of the steps taken by the agency to reduce costs of the rule on small businesses. If I haven't looked through every single proposal, so if you have any that do increase compliance costs or costs, you just have to have a statement on how you tried to reduce that or why it wasn't feasible. And that's just required by the law. But other than that, I'll just reiterate, this is a huge improvement over the reports from last cycle. So thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick. Is there anyone else that want to make comments? Okay, so I'm not sure I heard the answer to my question. Well, what's the next steps that we can look forward?
So for the next step on this one would be to table it, in my opinion, to the next MVPE meeting, where we are anticipating to bring both this one and the IMC preliminary cost benefit analysis. And we would get to our next agenda item, and then I have some discussion for other business in relation to all codes.
Okay, all right.
Motion to table.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second
it.
And
Okay,
to clarify, motion to table until the next MVPE.
thank you, Michelle. Okay, and I guess Ben, your second still applies to that clarification?
Yep. Second.
Okay. So all those in favor of tabling this matter to the next MVPE, please say aye.
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 And
Aye.
all those opposed say nay. All right, so motion has been approved to table this to the next MVPE meeting. Okay, so now I guess we can move on to the next agenda item, which is the opinion request from Wabo.
And apologies on not getting this one up. I thought I had uploaded for the meeting yesterday in time, and then this morning when I didn't hit the save button before I closed out of the web browser. And give me a moment, my Zoom window's not behaving with me. Okay. So Wabo reached out to SBCC at the end of December and asked an opinion on this one, or for an opinion. And I was hoping that Dirk might be available here today just in case the conversation comes up. But I've had some conversation back and forth with Wabo about the question and what we're looking for here, and getting the screen share set up. And so they had a question on the application of section 505 in both the residential energy code and the commercial energy code. And I see a spelling error just pointed out there for me. So anyway, they in relation to the passage of a bill in 2025, there was some speculation that existing buildings converted to residential use would not be required to comply with the current energy code. So, for example, if you had an unheated building transition to residential use, that it might, not be required to comply with the energy code. And when this bill passed, SBCC analysis was that it wouldn't require any rulemaking on SBCC's part, and it would be the local jurisdictions who would administer the code. The change was written into RCW 35A.21. And so as we get in here, I think the question kind of summarizes it pretty quick, or pretty well. And I'll just read that for us. So it's RCW 35A.21 and RCW Title 35A, which addresses the organization, powers, and governance of code cities to regulate optional municipal code provisions. RCW 1927 or RCW 1927A, which govern the State Building Code Act and related energy code requirements, does not appear to be modified by these provisions. The RCW section expressly prohibits jurisdictions from imposing current energy code requirements in cases where non-residential buildings are converted to residential use. Does this update impact jurisdictions from enforcing current energy code provisions related to the change of occupancy and change of space conditioning as adopted by the SBCC for conversions of existing buildings from non-residential to residential use? And the staff drafted answer for this one is that the Washington Energy Code provisions adopted by SBCC must be enforced by jurisdictions as required by the State Building Code Act, and restrictions codified in RCW 35A.21.440 subsection 2 apply to energy code requirements that are beyond those adopted by the SBCC. And so I didn't run this one through the filter of Krista because she's been working on her reports and drafting for the 2024 code. I stabbed my best shot at this one. I had some back and forth with Wabo, and so now I bring this one before this committee to discuss how the energy code applies in the situations referred to in the question above.
Joe.
Thanks, Dustin and Tom. I'm interested in what Wabo thinks about this because when I read the 2021 residential or commercial energy code, I don't see any. I guess before I even go there, the RCW that they're citing, RCW 35A21, the title is Prohibitions on Local Regulation. So it clearly does not impact the state energy code. or at least that's the title of the law of the section. So it would not appear to affect the energy code as the question says and as the answer says. But I'm interested in what WABO thinks. Even within the state energy code, there's conflicts between that and the RCW. Even if you thought it wasn't simply a prohibition on local regulation, because when I read the commercial energy code, if you're not touching a wall assembly, you don't generally have to do anything to it. And that's kind of where this RCW 35A21 starts talking about the energy code is about you don't have to upgrade walls if you don't touch them. And that's pretty much what the energy code says in section in chapter 5. So I see very little conflict even between 35A21 and the state energy code. So I'm wondering where WABO is seeing any potential conflict even between the state code and the RCW. With the caveat that the law doesn't impact the state energy code. It's clearly said in the section title. It's more of I'm interested in this kind of question.
Well, we have some hands from the public, but I don't see anybody representative of WABO raising their hand. So this one, when we got the legislation to review and we said no rulemaking required, we figured it would be the local jurisdictions call on how they administer the code in their local jurisdiction. And so I don't actually see how I'm not sure how WABO is actually identifying the conflict here.
Okay, I think Patrick.
Yes, thank you. I would encourage, well, first I'll note that, the State Building Code Council doesn't control enforcement, and that's why it's, this is at local enforcement level, local officials, and the opinions rendered by the SBCC are not legally enforceable. They're advisory. But I do think it's best when they give legally accurate advice. I asked our legal counsel about this question, and they disagreed with the answer that staff drew up. So I would encourage you to talk to Dirk before you give a final answer to WABO. When I talked with our legal counsel, their interpretation of the law was that it does apply to the state energy code. And so if there is a conflict, then the enforcement RCW 35A would take precedence. So they encourage you to change your answer at the very end there to that RCW 35A 21440 applies to the energy code requirements adopted by the SBCC. So thank you.
Okay.
You just remove those two words. Beyond those.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would hesitate to take legal counsel from outside parties that are. I think we should talk to Dirk before we make that modification. I'm also interested in. I think to the extent that we want to be helpful, we should find out from WABO what they think or what anyone thinks the conflicts even would be between. This is my earlier question. What does WABO or others think the conflicts even are? Because to be helpful, we would then tell the jurisdictions and the builders and the architects, here's where they would intersect or interact if we believed that they are applicable to the state code. So I think there's two reasons not to take that current advice into an answer that we would consider today.
Similar to the reports from our previous agenda item, this one didn't get up there, so there's not been a lot of time to review. I did invite Dirk to this meeting today, and the moving of this meeting from the afternoon to the meeting was supposedly to accommodate his attendance. He's not here, is he? I don't see him in the list. He's good at jumping on if we raise a subject that he's interested into. Anyway, I had anticipated potentially this committee not taking action on this one. As you know, when this came in and we're talking about the application of RCW, I immediately reached out to Derek to talk about it. And as we go through this one, I was thinking that use this as an opportunity to introduce the question in the venue where we can get some discussion going and potentially forward this one to the full council for review and issuance of the opinion.
I see two hands raised, and I think it was Lisa Rosenau.
Hi, thank you. Lisa Rosno with Evergreen Technology Consulting. We provide tech support for the commercial provisions of the Energy Code. And thanks for addressing this question, or at least, raising it. Just a couple details. Looking at the Energy Code right now, the language in section C505.3, and it does say that spaces undergoing a change of occupancy alteration shall be brought up to full compliance with this code for all disciplines in the following cases. And one of those cases is any space that's converted to a group R dwelling or portion thereof from another use or occupancy. And so our understanding is that is what this question is about, and that they're looking for clarification. I'm not going to speak for WAPO, but that's the language in the code right now. And so the understanding up to now has been that if a commercial building, in whatever condition it's in, if it's converted to dwellings, then it has to be brought to full compliance with the Energy Code. So just wanted to make sure that information is out there for your discussion and consideration. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Lisa. Elizabeth Torsky.
Yeah, thank you. As an associate member of WABO, I just wanted to thank Lisa for her comments. And yeah, that is the heart of the issue that most of the conversations that WABO has surrounded is change of use, which really does, again, as Lisa pointed out, you're being directed to bring everything up to full code if you're taking something from a storage or a business use. It's a very different requirements in the Energy Code than it is for residential. So that is the question with change of use primarily.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Your hand's still up, or
Lisa, Chow, I guess.
Yeah, a couple things. One is this law doesn't go into effect until, or rather the law's date is June 30th of 2026. So it's not an immediate answer that's needed from this. So I think that's good because this was just put up there and I haven't done my research on it. I think, yeah, Lisa and Elizabeth are right. We addressed this in the 2024 code, and we could probably find that language that we drafted up to comply with this law in the 2024 code and see how that applies to the 2021 code. See if it's easy to put that in there. Now, the law clearly, to me, only applies to local amendments because that's the title of the law. But if we try to do another remedy, I think taking language from the 2024 code that addresses the law and putting it in the 2021 code, or at least putting it in the opinion, might be a good solution.
Okay. Dustin, I don't see any more hands. Do you? Oh, I see Lisa's hand is back up. Lisa?
Thank you. Just one other comment. Even though this doesn't go into effect until June of 2026, it will impact projects that are in development right now. And so understand that some work needs to go into this, but having a response relatively soon, I think, would be really helpful for designers and building owners, or they're considering these type of building alterations. versus waiting until when it goes into effect. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, Chell.
I completely agree. We're designing buildings 6 months or more before we go in for permit. Is it possible to get Dirk's opinion on this ahead of the council meeting next week?
Yes, for sure.
And to maybe, I don't know, is there a way to provide his opinion to council members ahead of it so we know something about the direction he's thinking before the council meeting, so it's not just show up and find out and then have to react to it?
Yes, we can definitely do that.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, so I guess the action is to again table this, but Dustin will go ahead and get Dirk's opinion and circulate it to I guess the MVPE and the council members ahead of the next council member, and this matter will be brought forth at the council meeting.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Motion to table.
Will we amend that to the council meeting next week?
Yes, motion to table to the council meeting next week.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? No. So all those in favor of the motion to table this to the next council meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion has been approved. Okay, so I think that's all the agenda items, and we're open for other business. Is there anyone that want to bring forth any other business?
Go ahead, Ben.
Ben?
Hi. So I guess one thing that now that we're in 2026 got kind of brought to my attention was just where we were at in the process of providing our certifications to Department of Energy for the model code certification. So I believe the deadline for commercial energy code is March 6, 2026, and then residential is December 30th, 2026. So I think, I don't know if this is something we just need to review with the schedule and just kind of make sure it's on the agenda for upcoming council and committee meetings, but just wanted to check in with Dustin, and I don't know, Jill, if you had been tracking this as well.
So for me, it's definitely a little bit of a new topic, but it's tracked by Krista a little bit, and we can bring it to the council for deliberation.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so I have some other business I want to talk about. It's really just an update for those who might be wondering about what's been happening with the 2024 codes and the cancellation of the BFRW committee. Probably everybody suspects, but staff is not ready with all the reports that we were intending to bring to the committee meetings here today, and to get to the passage of the CR 102 filing documents next week. We were confident we had the UPC and IMC reports ready to go here for today, and then we had our file issues, so had a setback there, and staff is struggling hard to get those across the finish line. And I know that with the last outset of a delay, that we were confident we could get across the finish line by this point in time, and factors that were unforeseen and some of those out of our control prevented us from doing that. So where we're at now is we have the UPC and IMC ready to go, with a couple bringing that back across the finish line. The building code, residential code, and fire code, which are codes that I've been maintaining are not ready for filing. I don't have a whole one of those ready to go yet. And for the energy code, similarly positioned. And so I've been working hard this week to try to identify with staff a timeline that we can estimate for deliverables on this. And I'm not asking this committee to make any decisions on our timeline. I'm just trying to get some information out there. I expect this to be a topic at our council meeting next week for actual action. And where we sit now, we're hopeful we can get across the finish line in 2 months. But we've got a significant portion of draft work left to do. It was nice to hear from Patrick that that he is in approval of the improvements we've made to those documents. But I must admit that the improvements we're trying to bring are a heavy load to staff to try to bring those to bear. And so the draft time for all that information is taken longer than we anticipated. And so trying to get a deliverable out to the council in time to review before they take action on it. I'm thinking that we're going to need to have the CR 102 filing happen in March at the March council meeting. And I'm talking with the folks involved here. I've had separate conversations with council members to try to inform on them. I haven't had a chance to contact everybody, but I've got a majority of folks talked to on this one. And, the desire is to stop moving the goalposts. And that's my biggest desire as well, is to bring some certainty to the process. Looking forward to our next code cycle, there's some heavy lifting that needs to be done for making that code cycle work within the resources we have right now and that we might expect. We had talks about legislation being passed to bring more money to SBCC and bring some benefits there, but it's not dropped this session, and we have to make our plans based on the tools we have available to us at the moment. And so I really feel that the code cycle needs to be revamped in a way that is significantly different than what it has been in the past. And I've been talking about some products produced by ICC that come out after we start our process that staff produces separately. Speaking on the significant changes report, ICC does put out a significant changes report, but it is not available when staff starts drafting reports at the beginning of the cycle. We had some other delays that were resulting from the previous cycle at the beginning of our process. So when it's time for us to start our we call it a 3-year cycle, but it's really 2 years worth of work trying to get all the codes across the finish line by December 31st. And then that third year is, as I view it, meant to be a publication part of the year, and then really staging and making modifications to the code update cycle and doing anything preliminary that we can get up front in that 6-month window ish leading up to the start of the next code cycle. So, and then, getting some other efficiencies in there for staff to have available time. A consideration, is apparent that we don't have good vetting of the proposals as they come into the council. They come in, we have a 60-day window, but we don't receive the majority of those proposals across that 60-day window. We receive the majority of the proposals at the end of the 60-day window. And in this last code cycle, both of our proposal windows or any of our proposal windows are pushed up right against the council meeting where action on those proposals is intended to take place. And so staff doesn't have the time to really engage with the proponents to polish those proposals to potentially get information that we are now sourcing into our reports that we're drafting. And I see a need to have some deliberate space built in there for staff to produce documents. And then as another deliberate space that I see is not put a specific thought into in our code cycle is the space for, the public engagement aspect. Like we tried to do some listening sessions, and we were talking about doing some survey engagement with our stakeholder groups. But our timelines were so short at that time that we were not able to really engage. So we did hold some listening sessions, but we got a sprinkling of people that we could have received if we had better notice out there for it. So, as we try to get across the finish line with the 2024 code cycle and move toward the 2027 code cycle, I see the second half of this year being, dedicated towards drafting of the proofs and stuff that go out to ICC so that folks can start having those delivered products. But there also has to be a component where the council is working with staff to develop our code cycle into something that works for us. And, if we can, I think with some creative thought and dedication to making the process better and more fluid and workable, that we can come out like I've been looking forward to the 2027 code cycle, the entire 2024 code cycle, because it's been moving goalposts all along. So I am excited about the change, but also, it requires a lot of thought and effort to bring those changes to bear in a beneficial way. So I'm hoping that sitting council members, new council members, our stakeholder groups, not only just the building officials, but the construction industry can come together with us to really help us to devise a process that it may not be perfect for everybody, but it's going to be an improvement, and it will be the best that we can put together for, the different groups that we serve. And so, staff is working at breakneck paces to try to get everything across the line. And, it emboldens me to hear that the movement we've made in these reports is well received by some proponents that have criticized us in the past. So I am appreciative of the comments we've heard today on that. But I'm looking to improve our process into the future so that we can be more consistent and serve the communities that we are serving in a more reliable way. And so, I'd be happy to hear comments here offline as we get into this process. But I have some ideas for things that we can target for changes into the future. But it's probably not the best place to try to dump all those ideas right this moment. And so that's what I really wanted to share, is that we are still behind. We were about 4 months behind at the beginning. We've been trying to make up that time, and we're still about 4 months behind right now, but we're also anticipating some more delay there. So, ultimately the process has been slower than the timelines we're allowed by statute, and we need to work to fix our process to align with the machine that we have working right now. And so I thank everybody for your ear on that dialogue.
Okay, well, thank you, Dustin. Katie?
Thank you for that, Dustin. I've been thinking about this a lot too. And I'm just wondering, your first impulse is to just be like, well, let's just give ourselves more time. But we're tied to the model codes. How they come out every 3 years. How much control do we have given that factor? Do you know what I'm saying? There's some things that we can control, and then there's some things that, from your perspective, just wondering what you think.
So, we are tied to the model code development, and it seems to be the overall opinion that it would be not a benefit to skip over code cycles or anything like that. But as I look, I mentioned that there's products produced by ICC that we can't leverage because they're not available when we start, and we've already made that mileage when they are available. One idea I have is, still aligning with a 3-year process, but allowing for ICC to produce those products for us before we start our code cycle. The idea I have is to, instead of aligning the start of our code cycle with the publication dates, allow a year to pass for ICC to put out these other documents that we could leverage to reduce staff impact time. And then there's also some benefit that I see for people to become more familiar with the published codes that are put out by ICC. And we could bring that in and, potentially speed up our process by holding off for just a little bit for ICC to put out some products for us to use. And then instead of us writing significant changes reports from scratch, which are, as far as those those beginning reports that staff were struggling with, the significant change report is probably the higher impact to our time. There's more changes across the model code than what we're trying to paint our existing amendments over. And so, that's an idea I have. Some of the other notion is if we, can get more time right. The other thing is if we could throw more money and people at it, that would be great. But we don't have that available to us right now. But the other thing I've thought about is trying to dedicate further time and figuring out a way that we could bring all of our codes into the first year to develop the technical code language, and then really spend that second year before we need to get to December 1st on the public engagement, staff drafting reports, economic impact research and analysis, and listening sessions, survey engagement, and bring in more data to the table so that we can defend the CR 102 filing. In previous code cycles, we've done group 1, group 2, where group 1 comes across the finish line and is actually finally adopted in that first year. And then there's a lot more technical code development that happens in that second year. And there may be a need to revise that final adoption document. So I would like to see all of the filings for our codes happening on the same timeline, and maybe handling all that technical code development across the first year. But, as I envision, when I say that, I fully realize that the staff impact on that is going to be high. We're going to have a high, regularity of meetings of different technical advisory groups. The regular cadence of our committees and council meetings probably will still need to go on that same cadence. But, trying to cram it all into 1 year without more staff on hand to do it is intimidating for me as a concept to try to do, because it's hard to run one tag meeting in a week and update documents and get everything out back for if we're going to have a tag meeting on the same group the next week. It's really hard to finish all that document prep and get everything out there. And so that's another criticism we've heard is either there's too much time exposure for our volunteers at the tag level, and for at all levels of the SBCC really, but we got to figure out a way to spend more time on the justification on why we're making code changes. And I see that as being probably the hardest part of our job, is saying this is why we did it and this is why we're justifying we did it. And we have all these conversations at the tag level and the committee levels and the council level, and there's great information coming out, but it's mostly on the technical code language, not necessarily on the impacts to the public as it comes through. And so I see a need for us to gather more information in a meaningful way to really further improve our products that we're putting out there. And so I may have, moved on tangentially from your question, Katie, but I think that a different structure of the way we do it is in order for us to set aside time to engage further with the public to get more information on why we're doing this.
Yeah, no, I mean that first piece you hit on for sure, just moving I can't remember the number and I can't remember the exact amount of time, but that we need to basically start our process within a certain amount of time of the model code coming out. So that's sort of the first hurdle.
There's statute that kind of hems us in on needing to start on the year they're published, not necessarily a year later. So some hurdles.
Thank you.
Chad?
Yeah, thanks, Dustin and the staff for doing all that you do. And I know that sometimes it's understaffed and you're dealing with lots and lots of things. I'm happy to be part of whatever rethinking is happening. I know Representative Rammel was willing to write a bill to help streamline things, and I'm a big proponent of government efficiency, and I think we can probably get it done, but we need to rethink some of the goals and some of the process. I'd love to see a Gantt chart on that's what we do in the design world is people say, oh, I want my building open in, middle of 2028. And we back up and we figure out when we need to order steel, when we need to order all the other pieces of it, and when we need to put out early bid packages and all those other things. So, I'd like to see I'm happy to help. And I'd also, like to see how we can reimagine the process to be better in all ways, less unnecessary paperwork and more of the good stuff that the codes bring to everybody.
Appreciate the willingness.
So, and I was also going to ask if you were thinking about launching some sort of an effort near term, or maybe in later this year, or if it's just gonna, or there's not a planned effort to kind of.
I do have thoughts on a plan of attack for that one. Once we get through the filing process and get a final adoption done by SBCC, we're anticipating that if we have a 2 month, we're looking at getting into the July timeframe for final adoption. And the concerns we've heard from some is that we're going to have the same troubles we're having right now drafting the proofs that go out to ICC for those final deliverables. In the last code cycle, we had some help from WABO to help draft those. I would be interested in getting some additional assistance there, and from other interested parties as well. But it is my hope that staff can maintain the drafting of the proofs that go to ICC. And as we approach that final adoption, I've been wearing 2 hats as the managing director and essentially as a code specialist. And so it's my hope that as we get across that final adoption finish line, that I could maybe shift some of the stuff that's of drafting proofs of the IBC, IRC, and IFC to other staff, and engage with the council more on the development of our process to stage it for 2027. That being said, that would leave around, like, if we can get across in July, that would leave 6 months of time for us to really run a process for setting some policy. Like, one of the things that I see as an issue for staff is we don't have any real guidance set forth for us to handle the code proposals, other than if we get them in and all the questions on that sheet aren't answered, there's no real policy set for how we can further screen those proposals coming in. Not that I want to reject proposals out of hand, because a lot of these proposals that come in are the seeds of beneficial code changes, but we need the information to come in more complete at that point. And so it would be my hope that I can shift some of my responsibility to staff and really be available to engage with the council in developing our process for 2027, starting after our final adoption. But that also, as we get there and staff are trying to do that, there may be need for me to, pivot from that plan to help staff get those across in the timelines we're trying to advertise for that. So, I have a plan, but it's not a fully fleshed out plan. But I have some targets for looking at.
Thank you, Dustin. Any more? Greg?
Yeah, I was just going to mention there's one thing that would greatly improve efficiency. That so on the it's something we have to take on early before we start the code proposal process. So something we'd have to start like maybe late this year after everything's done with or early next year, is if we took all the energy code special things that we have and we convert the language to be amendments. With the instead of right now, we take our code processes, we have our custom energy codes, and we take the IECC changes and we review them and add them onto our code. So that way we are rewriting the whole whack every single time. If we did, we could keep all our same amendments and our energy efficiency and get to the same goal, and we just have to convert everything the other way around. So we take all our Washington State custom stuff and make it an amendment to the IECC. And if we did that effort in a work group in advance, then when we got to the time to actually get the new updated codes and we had to do amendments, everyone's writing amendments towards the IECC. Now we don't have to go
rewrite the whole entire thing, it reduces the effort, and you wouldn't, all your cost benefit estimates would be the same. And so if that's an endeavor we'd want to invest in up front, we could greatly reduce staff time and tag time and we can maintain all our same energy efficiencies and hit our same targets and do everything the same way.
And, I can appreciate the notion. It's my understanding, though, that the amount, if we were to make that conversion, that almost every section of the IECC would contain an amendment. That is kind of my understanding of where it's at. I when I hear like adoption of IECC is the solution, I'm attracted to hear more about it, but I also am worried, if we don't have the capacity. If we could have a work group that was outside of staff, they could make that conversion. I think that we could maybe bring that forward a little bit further. But like right now, we don't have the resources to make that conversion right now. And Chell, I see your hand up, and I assume you probably have some comment on that as well.
Yeah, I think I saw Patrick's hand up first, so maybe Patrick.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just say I've had some ideas going through this code process as a tag member and a stakeholder of areas that I think could be improved or need to be improved. And it sounds like some of those ideas are even similar to ones that Dustin came up with. I'm happy to participate in that effort to look at that. And I think I've heard from other stakeholders, longstanding stakeholders that have some issues and some areas that need improvement. And I think it would be great to get the major stakeholders and tag members involved in that with staff working on coming up with ideas to improve the adoption process going forward so it's better for everyone. I'm happy to participate that. I understand that right now your primary focus needs to be getting the 2024 code accomplished, but happy to participate in that later this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, I see Chell and then Ken. Chell?
Yeah, I was going to respond to Greg's idea. I think there's a lot of reason not to do what Greg's suggesting, but I think things should be considered, certainly. If we're proposing all of our great ideas right now, this meeting could last a long time. So I'm not going to propose my great ideas right now, or the ideas I think would be great, but hope that a group will be convened and we're all taking notes on how to improve the process and we can share them later.
Thank you, Chell. Ken?
So, Dustin, are you going to, at the next council meeting, propose a change to the 2024 code adoption cycle schedule that's posted now? And if you are, I would hope that you could take a look at it because there's some editorial issues under the International Fire Code section. I don't know if you have that handy or not, but
I don't have it ready to, but I can definitely take care of some edits in there. But yes, I will be proposing a schedule change at the council meeting.
Okay, just look at where it says International Fire Code, and then everything underneath that references the IMC and the fuel gas code.
Apologies, I will get it wrangled up.
So that is the proposals. You're going to come back with proposed new dates on this for the CR 102.
Yeah, and just as a generalization, we're looking at a 2-month shift, and so as I look at that, I'll be looking at the code revisor deadlines and making sure that the stuff we're targeting gets us to those code revisor filing deadlines appropriately, and that we have the timelines we need in there. But I think it should just be almost a 2-month shift exactly.
And Chell brought up Representative Ramel's proposal. Has anything actually been submitted on that for?
Justin, can I jump in and answer Ken's question, please? Okay, so Ken, yes. And so what we're going to do at the next meeting is this will be agenda item because the new knowledge that we've been waiting for is whether or not a bill was going to be submitted. It is our understanding right now that there are other technical reasons why that bill probably isn't the right time to submit it. So in the legislative committee, we've discussed, what recommendations to make to the full council. So now that is new knowledge that bill probably won't be submitted. Therefore, now we can take action as the full council on the implementation date right? That now we know that it has to sit through session next year. We have to change that, and then we can reverse engineer our way out on the calendar for the adoption dates. So it's intended to bring this to the full council. I don't think we should, this is my opinion, debate and deliberate, future cycles. We should just take action on the current calendar next week. And then we can establish a plan for what type of format we're going to have for public process to redefine our policies and procedures going forward in the future. I think we're all looking forward to that. And then importantly, work with the legislature on what proposed changes would be beneficial.
And just as a follow-up to tie that one up, I was anticipating bringing 2027 code cycle process stuff before our executive committee. I want to keep that out of the main council. Like the executive committee is tasked with, dispensing with council business and setting that up. And so I think that that's the most appropriate venue for those conversations. But until we can get further down the line on the 2024 process, I am not too inclined to bring that before the executive committee right now. We could have some preliminary conversation, but like if we're trying to bring documents and stuff, I don't have the bandwidth to bring documents to propose changes to our cycle process until we can get our 2024 codes ready to go.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion on this? Well, Dustin, thank you for bringing this forward. It's a very important subject that committees and the council have to address. All right. Is there any other business that anyone want to bring forward? Okay, seeing none. I guess is there a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
So move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.